community relations. It started with Jack and Eddie, who had this grand plan to explore northern Palawan. Um, they were able to save enough money to explore it for about 6 months. So they came, and 3 months in, they fell in love with the islands and they realized its tourism potential. So they built a boat. And once they built a boat, they realized, oh, we need a guide and a captain. So they met Ollie, who was a pirate fisherman. They met him in the market. Don't worry, they didn't buy him there. But with Ollie, they were able to, as a pirate fisherman, he knew which coves were safe from the storms, and he knew which communities were more accepting. So the communities that live along our route are mostly migrant fishermen who came in the 30s and the 40s when there was an abundance of everything. So they needed a guide, and then also what they needed was a captain. So after they met Ollie, they were looking through Coron and they were looking for a captain. They were somewhere, and then this lady said like, "Oh, two islands down, there's a captain there." Caplito was a smuggling pirate, and his boat just got impounded. Just out of a job, lucky tao. So with Ollie and Caplito, they were able to realize the route. In the beginning, they would do an island hop, and as soon as the sun would set, they would go to coves where fishermen were living and ask the fishermen if they could stay in their homes. So this was the initial engagement of Tao with the communities. When Tao started, it was the decline of the golden age of fishing in Palawan because of unsustainable means of fishing like dynamite fishing and cyanide fishing and the entry of big commercial boats that would just dragnet the area. So this engagement with Tao became an alternative source of income for these communities. When we would start to ask them, like, oh, the more and more we went to these communities, we'd ask them to clean up their beaches from the plastics and the glass. But still, as we were going back, there's still some rubbish on the beach. So we started to change the conversation. We started talking to the younger people of the communities, the kids. And we said, pick up all the glass on the beach, and when we come back, we'll buy you all slippers. We went back, and there was no more glass on the beach. In these kids, we saw their inherent skills, like climbing up coconut trees, understanding the seas by looking at the sky and the water, understanding the tides. Most of these kids have been helping their parents with fishing since age 10. So the more we went to these base camps, the more we interacted with them. We gave them odd jobs on the base camps. We got to connect to them, and there were some that were inclined to study. For them, we gave scholarships. 4 years ago, we graduated our first Tao scholar. Jimmy graduated a marine biologist, so our first Tao scientist. Jimmy worked away for a while, but then came back because he believes that he can help build a Tao dream. Jimmy is now in charge of our breeding program and our farm. But later on, hopefully by mid of this year, we're going to start our marine programs as well. But there are a lot of kids who weren't inclined to study, who didn't want to finish high school or continue on to college. And for them, as we were growing with them, we felt that there was a connection and we were family. So we decided to start training them for the base camps and possibly for the boats. And the more boys came in, the more we trained, the more boats we launched. Because we don't launch a boat unless there's a group of boys ready. The more boys came. So that's how we grew from operating one boat to operating 10 boats, flying a 200-kilometer stretch, having 16 base camps, and affecting the lives of about 300 people, 150 direct employees, and another 150 community partners, farmers, fishermen, teachers, masseuses. As we were in these communities, we were also looking at their social needs. And in some islands, there are a lot of kids under the age of 8 who had never gone to school because of the distance and difficulty to go to the public schools. And they didn't have the imagination to use a pen and a paper because they were never given this opportunity. So in 2008, with the help of teacher Christina, who was a retired teacher returning to her home island of Daracoton, which is across the bay, we built our first daycare center. After the first year, everyone was happy. The kids were happy, the community was happy, Tao was ecstatic. This is how we can help the communities. This is what we can bring in. So the next year, we built another school in Kulaylayan, in Linapacan. But because this area had a much lower fish catch, and because it had three ethnicities who didn't get along, after a while people started to move away, and the village became abandoned, and we had to close down our daycare center. So this is lesson number 1 for Tao. That we have to make sure that if we're going to give something to a community, that they are invested in its future, and they are willing to grow it. Because if not, then it will just be a waste. But because the idea of putting schools on islands is just fantastic, the next year, 2 more areas asked for schools. We have built 9 schools so far. And we have this engagement now with the communities where the community provides the land and the labor to both build and run the school, while Tao provides the materials for both building and running the schools. We're constantly looking for other communities to help out. We're now also working with the Department of Social Welfare and Development so that the children that go to this school can go directly into regular school, elementary. So we are also looking at the boys' home lives. The more crew we were having, them sending money home, we wanted to see if there was much improvement, but it still wasn't enough. So in 2008 as well, we started to explore complementary income, giving opportunities to the wives and mothers of our crew. So in 2008, we had our first massage workshop. First day, there were 20 women in the workshop. The second day, there was gossip in the village. They were like, oh my God, Tao's so bad, so evil, teaching us to touch people, to touch foreigners. But because their daily lives was about taking care of their children, helping their husbands prepare and sell their fish catch, the idea of actually physically touching somebody else, somebody so different from themselves, it's really scary and quite alien. So this is lesson number 2 for Tao, that we have to make sure that we ease into the conversation. We involve them in the planning so that they don't get shocked. Because we can't just come in and say, we know what you need, just believe us. But because it was our first time, and Eddie is our chieftain, and he went to the middle of the village, started screaming at people, like dragging women, like, how dare you, we're just trying to help, dragging women from their homes to finish the workshop. But in the end, 6 women finished the workshop, 4 women continued on to be masseuses. So perhaps it is in the quality and not the quantity that there is possibility of success, possibly sustainability. Because these 4 women, their children started going to school with new slippers, they were dressing better, they had handbags. But our favorite island indication was that they started having curtains in their homes. So even their neighbors were like, ooh, somebody's got new curtains. I wonder what they're doing. So the word spread, and now we have 4 islands that give massage. We also have a group of women sewers who sew the beddings that you use, the curtains, the towel bags that your beddings are placed in. 3 of these women are putting their children through college with this engagement. We also try to upgrade their skills, so they sew the 1,000 school bags that we give away to children at the beginning of the school year. In 2015, they were like, we need like high-speed sewing machines, a piping machine, an edging machine, a cutting machine, because they wanted to sew the Tao uniforms. We got somebody to donate the machines, they're upstairs. But then my problem is that we don't really have the electricity to run them, nor do our women have the skills to be competitive in this product. We have to be realistic. We can't just buy everything they make, because it's not a charity, this is an involvement. So what we're trying to do now is we're doing an incubator. We do like a Tao loungewear collection. We do stuff for the cantinas so that little by little we're improving their skills so that in the future they can be competitive and they can be more entrepreneurial. Because of the roads that we have here, and they're only been fixed in the past year, the communities aren't that engaged with the progress that is coming to northern Palawan. It's our hope that we can ease them into it and help them be prepared for it. We also do food production. We try to utilize what is around us. So 3 years ago, the cantina started to make its own vinegar. We found in the cashew fruit a champion. So with the cashew, there's a cashew and then the nut is on top. everybody harvests the nut because that's golden here. But the fruit itself, most often, is they leave it under the trees to rot and ferment. So we took that, it's 2-part fruit, 1 part water, 1 part sugar, kept in a food-safe container for a couple of months. And then voila, you have vinegar. So we also try to practice it with whatever's in season. Mango, pineapple, banana. So in March of this year, we're gonna do 2 workshops. One here in Anido and another in Culion. So your first base camp, Bulwang. In the back, that's all cashew. So so we went and talked to the women from Alava, which is the island across. And he said, oh, let's do vinegar, let's do a workshop. And automatically they attached to it. It's like, oh, if we make vinegar, it's something that we can trade with the fishing boats for fish. So though it wasn't immediately economic, the idea of barter was there and it had value to them. It was a win. We also do virgin coconut oil products. So we buy virgin coconut oil from the community around us. This is a micro scale. Every household knows how to make virgin coconut oil. But because we're far and we don't have the equipment for it, it takes 38 coconuts, scraped and squeezed to make a liter of virgin coconut oil. It's put into a clear container and left out in the sun for about 3 to 4 days. And then it will separate and then you'll have virgin coconut oil. The foundation buys it and then we incubate it by making soaps and shampoos. So in an event when a community has the capacity to have a larger amount of virgin coconut oil, we can transfer the technology to making soaps and shampoos. The other day I bought a distiller. So because we also wanted to do essential oil extraction, to bring it to the community so that when they make soaps and shampoos, they can have different scents for the different islands that make it. So we understand that you have to make products, we have to help them make products that are unique and original to them, so that it's easier to sell. So 2013 was awesome for Tao. We built a foundation, most of our boys joined us, we launched more boats, but it is also pretty devastating. November 2013 brought about Typhoon Haiyan, which devastated the Culion and Busuanga areas. This was a game changer for everyone. This is when we realized that anything you built can just be swept away in an instant. We lost 3 boats, 4 base camps, 4 schools, and 1 crew member. We were first ones out. Our patrol boat went speeding to that direction. They saw the destruction. Tankers perched on islands, homes completely devastated, and fishing boats just wrecked and scattered in the sea. So immediately, it was a decision. We're going to do emergency response. And in our darkest hour, who helped us was the Tao community. And when I say Tao community, I'm not just talking about the people who work for Tao. I'm talking about people like you guys, who have been on our trips, want to go on our trips, who like what we do and agree with how we do business. We put up a Facebook post that said €65 will feed a family of 6 for a week, with a photograph of what that €65 will buy. In 2 months, we were able to raise €250,000 to €1,000,000. That went into initial food relief. After 2 weeks of food relief, we were returning to the islands and seeing that people were being too complacent, not rebuilding their homes, nor going back into fishing. So that stopped. The next 2 weeks went into home rebuilding. Materials and tools for them to rebuild their homes, and we had 150 fiberglass boats made and distributed to the fishermen in the islands. We rebuilt the schools and base camps we lost, as well as the other schools and public buildings in the area that were damaged by the storm. What the typhoon did for us is it pushed all our future plans and dreams into the forefront. It made us dig in and really think about food security, disaster resilient architecture. So with the help of Pinair, who's a Tao partner who built the sailboat that we have, he thought about because of how he saw the devastation of the homes, he thought about how he could help. So he designed the tuka, which he slept in last night. Mm-hmm. The tukas are made out of locally sourced material, roofing material, bamboo,